All right, how's everybody doing? We got a 2-for-1 special today. We got two sessions going on here. We got February 2nd, which is a Monday, and then we have today, which is February 4th. So I'm increasing the frequency of my benching and kind of upper body as a whole. But the other regions of my upper body, lats, shoulders, stuff like that, I'm like minimally touching that on this third upper body day, and it's more so just to get frequency for my bench press, for my powerlifting competition. Um, when you're pushing and pulling on levers to see what's going to make you better, you really do have to push and pull on levers. You can't just push every lever and expect to get better. So because I increased the frequency, I pulled back on total volume and kind of like the intensity. When I talk about intensity, I mean the weights. So you'll see like with the both benching in this video, the weights are not anything to write home about, but that's not really what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to push volume and frequency at some lower RPEs and some more reps in reserve and things like that. So again, you're going to push and pull where you can. I always try and get back to, what's the point of training? What's the point of, doing any type of physical activity? And I think for the most part, you want to have some fun with it. You want to enjoy it. Again, there's always going to be aspects that you don't enjoy that you have to do anyway, but by and large, you want to try to enjoy what you're doing. Like, I hate running, so I actually pulled back on some of the running and I inserted some high intensity interval training, which you'll see at the end with some prowler pushes. So again, I don't like doing conditioning or cardio anyway, but if I have to do it, I want to try and make it as enjoyable or as fun or as like interesting as possible. So I'd rather push a prowler than do any type of long distance running. Here are my bench clusters. This is my first day back from my deload. It used to be first day back from deload, I was like always rearing to go. Weights felt light, so I always pushed. And sometimes that came back to bite me, and I would push a little bit too hard, and I would get some like weird nagging pain and stuff like that. So as I get older, I'm approaching 39, trying to be smarter about that. So after a deload, I just went back, looked at my program that I've been kind of following as far as the template's concerned. Make sure, okay, these are the exercises that I want to do and need to do. Here were the progressions that I was kind of following. I don't necessarily have to beat the logbook today. If that happens, great. So that's why in this video you don't see any like sets and reps and stuff like that, because I'm kind of like going off of a loose template, for a lack of a better word, as far as the sets, reps, and weight. This isn't a deload by any means. The weights, the volume is much higher than it is during my deload, but I don't even want to call it a reacclimation workout. I'm just not trying to consciously beat the logbook. So I will next week and the week after and the week after that. But this week, post deload, just getting in a good session, a hard session, much harder than deload, but I'm not necessarily concerned with I have to beat the logbook today. So got these bench clusters at 205. 205 moved much better than the 225s. If you can see prior to that, sorry, I'm kind of losing track of the video. I was just doing a board press. The reason why I was doing a board press is because I'm trying to increase the amount of volume that I do within a session of bench press. However, there's only so much full range benching you can do, or at least in my opinion, that you can do before things start to kind of go awry. So I inserted the board press in there so I could still get some more pressing volume, but not put unnecessary strain on joints, ligaments, stuff like that. So there's always methods that you can use to extend out any exercise as far as getting more work to that targeted area. So I went from my bench clusters to the board press. Here we are working shoulders. I'm always working shoulders. It's just that will stick in my brain from my last bodybuilding competition as far as what they said about my shoulders and lats. So I've just been annihilating them. Bicep tendon is feeling much better. Again, I don't really know where I'm at as far as like how healed it is, but neutral grip pull-ups feel really good. So I put in the neutral grip pull-ups and I took out the lat prayers and I moved the lat prayers to my third bench session or my third upper body session of the week, which is Wednesday morning. So just again, you're always pushing and pulling on levers. Always come back to, before you get too lost in the minutia and things like that, always pull it back to why are you doing what you're doing. Just trying to have fun, trying to do this bodybuilding competition, trying to do this powerlifting competition, and do do as well as I can and enjoy the process. So when I'm when I'm doing this whole pushing and pulling on levers, I try not to get too analytical about it, because in the past that's been another thing that's come back to bite me, and training sessions end up being not as good because I'm so like mentally drained about worrying about all this shit that doesn't actually matter. There's some minutia that doesn't matter. So, again, I know I'm rambling a bit, but always put in perspective why you're doing this. Always put in perspective the enjoyment of the process of all these things. So anyway, here we are with the second, or I guess like the middle bench session, because I'll have another bench session on Thursday. This is Wednesday going on right now. So because I have a Wednesday bench session and upper body session, and then a Thursday bench and upper body session, I have to be mindful on this new entry of this third day of benching that I don't screw myself up for tomorrow. So here I am doing some dumbbell benching. I did set to 15 of this before at 70 pounds. I only did set to 10 because, again, I'm trying to be mindful. Hey, I got a bench tomorrow, and tomorrow is like one of my, I don't want to say real bench days, but one of my staple bench days. Here I'm doing some pullovers. I'm not really doing pullovers for my lats. That's just kind of like a secondary thing. I'm actually doing it more so to improve my thoracic mobility. My thoracic mobility has always been a problem, but it's so much of a problem now that it's causing an issue with my bench press. I'm not able to arch as hard, and then I'm posing. It's preventing me from getting into certain positions fluidly within my posing that is just annoying, and I don't want to deal with anymore. So if I don't want to deal with it anymore, I got to do some work for it. So here I'm doing this pullovers, and then I'm doing some extra mobility work at night for my T-spine. Here we got this bench press. So the intensity technique that I use for this is I'm going full range, and then once I feel like I'm approaching failure, I switch over to a lengthened partial or a short range of motion bench press just to get more volume to the targeted area. Am I worried about this hurting my bench press for tomorrow's session? No. The weight's only 185. It's okay. I ended up doing 3 sets, so I didn't end up going like too nuts or anything with volume, or at least for me. Lat prayers, like I said, I had these in before. I put back in my neutral grip pull-ups because my bicep tendon is, knock on wood, feeling better. But I really have fell in love with lat prayers, so I wanted to include it. And it's a good way to get an extra lat work without putting an unnecessary amount of stress on your bicep. So there we go. That's my thought process. Whether it's a good thought process or not, I have no idea. We're just pushing and pulling on levers and seeing what works. Let's count how many times I've said push and pull on levers in this voiceover. Too many times. As I said, bicep tendon's feeling better. Trying to increase the frequency of my bicep work as well, but not to the point that I'm going to cause any undue stress. I'm leaving a lot of reps in reserve. I'm doing a hammer curl, which is not as stressful to the bicep tendon, or at least in my opinion, it's not. So, sorry if you can hear me. I think I'm developing a little bit of a cold. So we got some more hammer curls in there. As I said before, I got rid of one of my running days and put in a high intensity interval training day, which in this case was my prowler. I did high handles up, low handles back, did a minute rest, and then repeated. This was so much better than running. Like, again, you have to try and fit your personality to your training, or your training to your personality, I guess, so that you make progress. Always make progress. Enjoy the process.